David, great to have you on the show.
Hey, thank you so much.
So David, what are you going to show us?
I'm going to show how to hide files inside of alternate data streams in Windows.
Brilliant, go for it.
Sure thing. I'm just creating a new file. I'm just doing that on camera here, just so you know I haven't done anything to this file beforehand. So just a plain text file. We hover over it. It shows 0 bytes. Over here on my attacker machine, my little Kali Linux box here, I have 2 different applications. I have business app 23.exe and I also have calc.exe.
So those files are actually on your Kali machine. They're not on the Windows machine, right?
Yep, they're not on the Windows machine at the moment. I'm going to copy them over to this file.txt. So SCP, which is Secure Copy Protocol, going to transfer the calc.exe over to that machine. That's the syntax. That file is located in C users admin desktop file.txt. And if you just simply append a colon to the end of that file and then move, we're naming calc, that's the data stream that we're adding here. We can do just that. We use the password to get into that machine and it's copied over. So I'm now just going to connect to that machine through Kali as well. Swap to PowerShell, and we can call the process from that file, and it won't show that it has changed. Yeah, so if we just come over here and hover over the file, it'll still show 0 bytes, even though it contains that calculator app within it. And we can start that process too. And it pops off there. So we just did a WMIC process call on that actual calculator app, and it pops off, even though it's still contained within that file. But there's not really a great way to detect that it's there. There's another method that we can do that I'd also like to show you guys.
So I'm a bit slow, right, David? So just explain to me. So you have replaced that notepad file.
I wouldn't say replaced. It's actually empty. So it's still the original file. I kind of just hid it behind that file.
Okay, so in other words, you've got a blank notepad file. If I double click on that, it would open calculate as well. Is that what's happening?
No, it's not based off of whether or not you click it. It's just based on hiding it. So we're just hiding the contents in there. Let's say a better use case for this that some ransomware gangs have actually used before and done to people that exfiltrate data is just setting up like scheduled tasks. So there could be a scheduled task in a file that you use that you're not going to throw away, right? And it will just execute malicious commands on your machine without any sort of interaction.
Okay, so they somehow have replaced, or sorry, not replaced, but they've hidden this behind a file. The reason why it's 0 bytes is because you want to prove that it looks like there's nothing there, but actually there is something hidden behind that file.
Yeah, exactly.
And in the real world, this is happening like with ransomware gangs.
Yeah, that was part of a attack with the Spider Gang. Yeah, that was a few years ago. Yeah, but it's certainly lesser known, but it's super easy to do.
Yeah, because all you did was run a command on the Kali machine where you attached it, or what's the right term? You did something like
copied it over.
Copied it across. So you just did SCP to copy it across, but then file still shows 0 bytes. But whenever you launch this, it's going to run some other kind of app or launch something else in the background.
Most of the time it'll just sit there unless either someone else manually starts the process. If like a user opened that file, nothing would happen. It would just be the normal file. But if they had like a remote connection, they could either set that off in your environment or they could set up a scheduled task to have it run when you log in, so to say.
Yeah, brilliant. And you said you had some more, right?
Yeah, I have one other one that I could show you as well. Instead of copying calc.exe, let's do the business app. I'm going to change the file path here. I'm also going to name this evil because it's kind of suiting. But basically, this file path, that's the root directory of the C drive. And so if you remember from earlier, we got the same type of result. This is not going to show anything here. The main reason of doing that is that file is actually what we call an ICAR file. It is designed to set off antivirus, basically. So it's completely benign to run on a machine or to like install, but it's supposed to basically be an alarm system to make sure that your antivirus is working. When you run things through alternate data streams, they kind of become obfuscated to applications that are supposed to be searching for them. So on this machine, I was able to not only install an ICAR file, but also run it.
So in other words, you running something, the Windows computer you're not getting it. The Windows user wouldn't realize what you're doing. And if you're running like Windows Defender or some other antivirus, it would also just assume this is benign. There's nothing wrong with it.
For the most part, ThreatLocker does catch these. They were a problem a few years ago, but as times have gone on, we figured out a way to actually prevent them from running, and they fall under the default deny policy. So,
But if you're not running ThreatLocker,
yeah, out of luck.
brilliant. David, before we wrap up, I just need you to explain what was that term that you used? This is an alternate what?
Alternate data stream.
What does that mean?
In Windows, every file has what we call a data stream. That's where the data is stored by default. Alternate data streams were created to basically support compatibility with Macintosh computers.
Okay.
And nowadays, they're mostly used for like metadata. So if you download something from the internet, there's going to be metadata behind it where it's just like, hey, you got this from the internet. And it's called a zone.identifier. So you see that on any file you install from the internet.
So metadata could be like if you take, is it similar to like if I take a photo somewhere with my iPhone, it's showing like the location and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Same kind of idea, right? So you're manipulating that to do what again?
To just execute whatever file I decide to stuff in there.
So it could be malware, it could be anything.
Could be anything.
So standard antivirus, not ThreatLocker, would just see this as benign stuff. It would not catch it.
Yeah, a lot of them will confuse them with the actual file that's associated with that metadata rather than the actual metadata itself.
Is this still like common attack vector in 2026? Because you mentioned it was a problem a while ago. Is it being like sort of patched by Microsoft? Is it still a problem?
According to Microsoft, this isn't so much of something that they would patch since it is like required for Macintosh compatibility, but it's certainly not like a common vector that's used. It's pretty rare for people to really win over ransomware. It's usually through like phishing or something like that. That's the standard.
There's easier ways, basically.
Yeah.
David, that was great. Thanks so much for sharing.
Hey, thank you so much.
Brilliant.
Appreciate having me here.